The anglers rescued a gold jug covered with stains. They didn't have the foggiest idea what it was and discarded it. The workers picked up the gold bottle and used it to decorate the wall. As a result, the gold bottle remained sealed until 100 years later. A girl who wanted to spy on her boyfriend was caught scaling the wall. She broke the wall as a result, and she fell. When the girl saw the gold in the golden bottle that had fallen to the ground, she took it home and wiped off the dust. The golden bottle then released a thick fog. It even transformed into a massive human figure. The girl collapsed after taking one look at it. She made a lot of effort to get up after catching her with his hands. She might get 3 things from it. The girl had a crush on the prince of the country, and she immediately wished that he would fall in love with her. Sojourn gives the girl an essential oil that only the Queen of Sheba could use and forces her to apply it to her body to prevent others from taking the golden bottle. The young lady lit the gold container in the restroom under a tile. Jim finally made his way to the prince and whispered the name of the girl to him. When the prince awoke, he set out to find the girl and fell in love with her right away. The girl becomes the prince's favorite from that point on. The king also discovered a stunning concubine at the same time. The group used a lot of spice to clean the prince so that her son could lead the crowd into the palace. There was a great deal of enthusiasm. Then, at that point, the young lady went to Jin and made a subsequent wish. She needed to have a youngster when the young lady became pregnant. She turned out to be increasingly dull, manure. She went around boasting that she was expecting the child of the next king. The news quickly reached the entire court. The king called the prince to the army camp and shot him with a bowstring because the king's consort claimed that the king's son wanted to take over. The poor prince succumbed to the power struggle without any knowledge. His family was also affected when he passed away. Jean tracked down the young lady and advised her to make a 3rd wish rapidly so she can't get away. The girl still believes John is lying to her despite the fact that Jean could also escape his fate. She was caught by the guards and thrown into the sea after waiting just a short while. Jim bounced into the ocean with her, however there was nothing he could do. Jim lacked hope. He could be freed with just one wish. Jim devoted himself to the Queen of Sheba. Prior to Solomon's arrival, he enjoyed the queen's favor and even had free access to the queen's bedroom. Solomon was fond of the Queen of Sheba. He even crossed the desert to get to woo her. He entertained the queen with music in full public view. The general music moved the queen. Using scented wax, she shaves her legs of their hair. Jim kept reassuring the queen because he was worried. Thus, the queen provided Solomon unresolved issues. Finding a red thread within the palace presented the first challenge. So Solomon found the thread and a goblin to complete the puzzle. After winning the queen's wrath, Solomon imprisoned him in a golden bottle and threw him into the Red Sea for 2,500 years without seeing the sun until a fisherman found it. However, the bottle is now concealed beneath the floor tiles. The would only ever be opened by a girl. Again, succinctly, Jim is caught in this restroom. He spent a long time trying to get attention from Diane and other people, but only a small boy with a sword heard him. He looked into the bathroom and saw that the floor tile was missing. The boy attempted to pry the tile and even requested assistance from his brother. But his mother took him away before they could accomplish anything. Jean chased after the young man a while later. Watching him rise the lofty position at 11 years old, he drove his military to war. At the age of 20, Jim yearned to see him once more. The king was feared to die on the battlefield by everyone in the palace. The kid's mom concocted an ill-conceived notion to keep the privileged position. In order to have another boy, she locked the brother of the king in a room and matched him with 1,000,000 beautiful and sexy women. The room was a position of incredible extravagance and joy, yet soon the Lord returned. He was bloodthirsty from years of war. However, his brother deteriorated into a cripple as a result of life's excess. Because he posed no threat, the king glanced at him once and then left. Back at the royal residence, the ruler was debilitated by liquor addiction. He once again failed to open the bathroom door. Ashton had performed. After his passing, the ruler's sibling was placed on the privileged position. He appointed a concubine to serve as the nation's governor. She found the bathroom and took a shower there because this governor liked to wander around. She fell down, however, when she got out of the bath. Sojourn finally saw hope when the governor pulled out the golden bottle. To make a wish, It prayed to the woman, but she only saw him as a warrior. She anticipated Jim, to get back to the jug at the lower part of the waterway. Jim was desperate at this very moment. She was just 12 years of age when she wedded an old rich man. The girl was kept in a cage like a bird by the wealthy man. He had other wives who disapproved of the girl and never spoke to her. The girl was ridiculed by the housekeepers as well. She appeared to be a prank. The wealthy man gave the girl a fish one day. Late at night, the fish had a golden bottle in its stomach. The bottle was opened by the girl. She knew the next thing. A massive man was represented by a misty cloud in the air. Jim Hughes saw the light of day once more later. The girl shows him her creations. These devices are extremely complex. The young lady even fostered a hypothesis of flight and made the original of flying machines. Because of her gender, she could have been remembered forever. She was confined to this room for all time. At the point when Jim asked her what her most memorable desire was, she needed to acquire all the valuable information she could. Jim brought the young lady a great deal of books and given all his insight to her. There was history, theory, space science, arithmetic. She read too slowly. The glass bottle was melted by Sojin. She then arranged the books on it. Together with the bottle, it became one. When the young lady hydrated from the container, then the information rung a bell. The room was gradually filled with bottles. Jim had an extraordinary feeling of achievement, watching the young lady develop. To explain the forces that cause spacetime and matter to form, the girl created a mathematical language. But the more she thought about it, the less time was left. The more she made a subsequent wish. Even when she was asleep, she could remain alert. Along these lines, the young lady's accessible time expanded altogether, and she found the response effectively. She had studied forces in electromagnetic fields. Furthermore, she had additionally examined Jim, on the grounds that Jim is made of fire. Jim turned out to be increasingly more interested with her interestingly. Even the idea of never leaving occurred to him. He therefore rushed over and nested everything when the girl made her third wish. The girl kept reprimanding Jim because she thought he had cheated on her, and she even said that she wanted to forget that she had ever seen Jim as she did. Her third wish also included this. Jim returned to his bottle. The girl and he never saw one another again. Later, in the tiniest room of a tiny store, Jim followed the bottle across the ocean once more to the other side of the world. He was squashed at the lower part of a heap of relics. A woman returned the item she had borrowed from the corner to the hotel. She had no idea how much an impact this bow would have on her life. The next instant, the cap exploded out of the glass bottle as the woman was brushing it with an electric toothbrush. A large foot emerges as the smoke clears. Allergy cautiously approaches the person and requests that they leave. She counted to 3 on the count of 3, but the foot was still on the door. She then counted to 10 again after counting to 3. And it did not vanish. Aletia had to put on her glasses and pay close attention. She welcomed him again in 1,000,000 dialects. She finally received a response when she spoke Greek. Jim introduced himself to Elliot and gave him the 3 wishes as he spoke. Elliot looked around the room with interest, like a young child. Jawline turned on the television and was perplexed. Aletia said that this is science today. After spending some time watching television, Jim picked up her English. He took out Einstein from the television and inquired as to whether she needed to keep the man alive, overreacted. And instructed him to return Einstein to the television. In a rush, Jim felt sorry for Einstein for returning. He inquires about her desires. That is the point at which she finds an opportunity to present herself. She goes by Olivier. She studies literature. She may have traveled here to attend the conference because she had read too many books. Aladdin realizes that anecdotes about hopes everything works out for don't end. So she would have rather not made a wish for some time. Jim has quickly adjusted to life in the 21st century and gotten his body to the right size, as satisfying as being curious. He related his tale. He had served Queen of Sheba since he was born. He wanted Aladio to make her wishes, which he would be free to assume, and a maiden who locked him in a bathroom told him about the murderous monarch and the fat lady. In any case, Alethea keeps on denying. We did not meet. God. Eleanor couldn't think of anything she wanted, no matter how much she pushed him. Finally, Sojin told Aleva about his affair with a woman scientist. Jin discussed the miserable days of the past. He kept pondering whether it was wrong for him to love someone. Aladdin gave him a red-eyed stare. Then she made an unanticipated wish. I am here to cherish you. I want your love for me. Consequently, Aledia had a spouse toward the start of the marriage. They were content with each other. However, the husband became dissatisfied with the situation after a few years. Quote, Allergy felt relieved that Elf couldn't read him at the time of the divorce. She was content and alone for the rest of her life. Until she met him, she also went to numerous locations to find inner peace. She desired the kind of love that their moral story described. She was taken aback. But she got her wish, and they got closer and closer until they were close together. Alvin unexpectedly back to London. She was afraid to let the bottle through security because she was so protective of Jim. Jim actually feared the technology. When he returns home, the transmitter's sound is always present. He was disturbed by it. Jane would initially just stay at home. Yet, progressively, it would leave the house and let others see him. Whenever Aledia went to work, he would silently accompany her. Althea tells stories and reads a lot. Additionally, reading stories was his favorite activity. Now and again he would go out all alone and saw things he had never seen. He considered humans to be a miracle. However, his surroundings continued to have a lasting impact on him. Aledia went home one day and couldn't find Jim anywhere. Jim was clearly visible among the golden powder. Aladdin finally discovered Jim in the basement. Jim resembled dust. Aledia was desperate at the time. She made a wish fortune to converse with her. Jim's appearance was restored only at that point, but his body was already in bad shape. He tried to get rid of the electromagnetic fields and put off the allergy. Aledia was heartbroken to see him in this state. How could his powers vanish? Her first wish was to become a Jinn slave. Then she fulfilled her final wish. She wanted that he would return to where he should have been. The following second, she said. This evening, tears filled Jim's eyes as he frowns. They silently felt the few warm feelings they had as they embraced one another. Later, all of Jen's clothing had been taken over by allergy. She wrote a book for 3 years to tell the story of her engines. Elodie is still alone more often than not, however she is presently not the only one. Jim would occasionally return to her, and the two of them would spend the rest of their lives capturing every vivid moment. To leave their lives without regret, two people only need to make free wishes. There is no such thing as a fairy tale. After all, a game without paint is nothing more than a pretty fantasy. As a lady has said, many wishing stories don't end well since they don't have the foggiest idea how to value and live right now. In this world, the only way to feel it is to keep your feet on the ground. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.